I'm working on a 2018 Acura Rdx. I believe it's a V6 3.5. These 3.5s for the Honda and Acuras are very common, very reliable, but that's not another story. Anyways, I'm doing the front brakes, just the pads for the front, and full set for the rear, pads and rotors for the rear. I just want to give you a tip. Took me a minute to find out their torque specs, and I had to justify the torque specs too. Some mention at 50 pounds and another mention at 37. This looks like a 37 foot-pound torque for the caliper bolts anyways. Now they did mention, one video did mention that the bracket bolts, the caliper bracket bolts are 90 to 100. 90 should be sufficient for this bracket for the front. These are fronts, by the way. Another great engineering design by Honda, Acura. These shims that the pad rides on. It's got a little loop right there. Let me see if I can find one. I thought it was a good idea. These are great. It's just a fun fact anyway, food for thought. If you see the spring that sticks up right there, basically the pads go right against that. Back in the days, you have, well, they still do have this. It's one of those spring that release the pads from the rotors, keep it from rubbing against the rotor. Well, not only that, they designed this clip to where it pushes out too. You can see there. Now it doesn't spring out just because of that spring there. Just to give you an example. All right, that wire spring is out, and it springs out away from the rotor. I thought that was a cool design. And of course the loop right here, top and bottom, that is to keep the pad from falling out. I noticed a lot of cars that springs out like that, it just falls out. I think the older Honda and Acura falls out if you don't put anything. Well, actually they don't have that little spring right there anyways. The old design would have just the wire that springs out, and a lot of times it'll be like two of them, one top, one bottom, and it always falls out, and you always have to hold on to something. Well, hold on to the pads while you're putting the caliper back in. This one you don't. I thought that was a cool design. Fun fact. Okay, so torque specs, the bracket itself, 90 to 100. One YouTube channel I mentioned, but 90 should be sufficient. This was a little unknown. One guy mentioned 50, another guy mentioned 37, but I had to verify with the bolt. This would more justify a 37 foot-pound than a 50-pound. I'm pretty sure it might be able to handle that, but I don't want to run the risk of stripping that. Just to compare it with the lug nut. Now this lug nut for the RDX is 80 pounds, 80 foot-pounds, and almost matches. I'm sure it can handle 50, but I'm kind of skeptical of running it to 50 foot-pounds. 37 should be ample enough torque for this. All right, 2018 RDX. Now the rears, I believe the caliper bolts were 25, and the bracket itself the bracket that holds the caliper is 62, if I remember right, but I'll be making another video for that anyway. All right, okay. Good luck, guys.